guys, you already know who I am. Today we're going to be reviewing, kind of blind reacting, to a YouTube video by the creator under the name of Think Before You Sleep that claims to be a men's rights advocate. However, from what people tell me, this video seems to be kind of very regressive and anything but. However, this guy seems to have a lot of criticism towards how I do things, who I am as a person, so I'm really intrigued. I accept many different forms of opinions, even if I may not agree with them, so I'm actually really excited to dissect this and, you know, kind of go up against another men's rights advocate, and hopefully kind of be a good example and show you guys how it's supposed to be done. So, let's go. Nice guy. A genuinely nice guy shouldn't have to self-proclaim it. I'm a nice girl. Nice guys usually get used by the toxic women that know that they'll say yes to everything that they want. And then they completely miss us good girls. It's actually a red flag. Before I really dive into this video, I would really just like to point out to you guys that there is a lot of subliminal messages and kind of hidden things in this video. And I definitely feel like that might have been one of them, repeating, you know, us good girls, while I kind of said it, making it look like I was rolling my eyes. The fact that he repeated that twice, well, we'll see. It's actually a red flag for us when you are a self-proclaimed nice guy.
I always thought that content creators did what I did, which is watch all their videos before they post them. I guess they don't. I feel like if she did that, it would have been pretty easy to catch that she said she was nice and a good woman right after she said it was a red flag for a guy to proclaim that he is nice.
Well, I must say, sir, I do think that you owe it to your audience to make sure that you show them the entire clip of what I've said, rather than cutting something just specifically to fit your narrative, because had you showed them the entire video, this is what they would have seen. Genuinely nice guy shouldn't have to self-proclaim it. I'm a nice girl, but when I'm dating, I don't say, yeah, so I'm really nice.
But I agree. Proclaiming that you are nice or good is a red flag, because there is no one you should be more suspicious of than a person who has to constantly tell people they are a good person. That's not something that you get to declare about yourself. It's a title that you have to earn.
You know, the irony in that is that that's almost exactly what I was saying in that video. I really encourage anybody watching this, especially if you're coming from his page, please watch that video in entirety, because it's not what this guy's making it seem to be.
Well, anyway, for those of you who don't know, this is Chloe Sunderland, and she runs a channel called Roma Army. Chloe is a 23-year-old Canadian who speaks out for men's rights and has built quite a following on TikTok. There's just one problem, though. She isn't actually helping men. I'll get into that, but first...
Well, I'm sorry that you feel like I'm not actually helping men. However, I do get countless emails and messages a day telling me that my videos do help and that they are making a bit of a difference. So maybe I would just encourage you to maybe just watch a bit more of my videos.
Chloe is what is called a female chameleon. In a relationship, a female chameleon is a woman who will pretend that she likes the things that the guy likes in order to get him to like her. When she gets comfortable, she'll bait and switch and become a different person, which typically means she becomes an abuser because she is manipulating you into thinking that she was someone else. As far as the red pill goes, many women have figured out that if they watch a couple of red pill videos, they can become a chameleon, say the exact same things they saw in those videos, and get tons of men to follow them simply because it's a woman saying it.
So I find it very interesting, two things that he did there. Number one was automatically profiling me as someone that is probably an abuser. I'm not really sure where he got that perception from. But remember earlier how I said subliminal messaging? I think it's pretty funny because usually at the end of the video, somebody will be like, so this is my conclusion on who this person is. Whereas this guy put, we're only a couple minutes in, and he's put right in the front, you know, basically, don't trust her. This is essentially subliminally saying this should be your view on her going forward. So I want to note that that's actually a really smart psychology term. However, it is low-key really manipulative.
Oh, hi there. Welcome to Facts About Men. Let's be honest here. The closest that men get in society to cared about or valued is whether or not they're deemed as useful.
Welcome to information that literally every red pill channel has said for the past 10 years. She isn't adding anything new. She is simply saying this stuff as a woman, and that's not useful, but it will get you a lot of followers.
With all due respect, I can't help but notice that this guy has said twice, and I wonder how many times he's going to say it throughout the video. I want someone to keep track, but just because it's a woman doing it or woman this, I kind of get a really misogynistic vibe off of this guy. Red pill, whatever, may have been saying it for the last 10 years, but that's most likely because it's true. And no offense, sir, but like I've looked through your channel and there's absolutely nothing that you have said that is news to anybody, really. So if anything, it's a lot of repetitive stuff. And unfortunately, that's what you have to do to evoke change, is unfortunately, we have to repeat ourselves every single day. So you might just not understand that. I don't know.
The fact of the matter is that if women want to help men not get screwed over, then they have a ton to offer. Imagine if there was a female YouTuber out there who gave critical analysis of all of the manipulation tactics that abusive women use on men. It would be helpful to, for lack of a better term, learn from the masters.
So number one, he said, women repeating men's issues is not useful. He said, if we want to be useful, then we should be giving critical analysis on other women's abusive behavior, because then it'll be, what did he say? Giving lessons from the master. So in case you don't really fully understand what he's saying that a woman's only value in men's rights is calling out other women, because who better to know than us women? It's basically making the assumption that we're all manipulative, so our job is just to call out other women. And on that, I'm not sure, sir, if you've seen my page or my TikTok, or maybe if you're just purposefully trying to manipulate your following, but I do that quite often. And I really encourage you guys to check out my YouTube, check out my TikTok, check out my Instagram, check out my Twitter. Yeah, this guy's definitely wrong, but let's get back into it.
And some women have done that. Diana Davidson did a video on Dahlia DiPolito, a woman who hired a hitman to kill her husband. When Dahlia got caught, she was able to manipulate her husband, who she tried to kill, into helping her get out of jail. She still went to prison, but wouldn't it be great to hear what specific techniques that Dahlia used to manipulate her husband, even to help her?
I think what absolutely blows my mind about that is that, number one, this guy is very clearly misogynistic. He hates women. And you can tell that by the fact that for some reason, he thinks that I would be able to watch a video like that and be like, yep, this is how she did it. This, and this. And he thinks that because he believes that all women are manipulative, all women, what did he say, for lack of better terms, taking lessons from the masters. It's just very clear that this guy has something against women. There's a lot of systematic problems. It is actually not useful at all to go after specific people, because all that does is put people's brain on that specific story. As men's rights advocates, we need to be speaking for the bigger issues and actually directing the attention at the systems that are oppressing all of us. But go on. It's actually very apparent to me now that this guy has never seen any of my content. Sir, do you know that I do red flags for men, so that they can see through toxic traits? You know that I have a segment called No Dick, which is literally all about teaching guys to identify toxic traits in women, which actually is new ideas, because society teaches men to just kind of put up with whatever a woman throws at them. Lots of guys don't recognize things like slapping, calling names as even abusive. A lot of them would even be hesitant to classify it as that, even if they knew that that's what it was. So I heavily disagree with you, and I would strongly encourage you to take another look at my YouTube, really watch my videos, and then give me another reaction video.
What Chloe is doing. Chloe is just parroting information that men have already said and attracting simps purely because it's a woman saying it. In their minds, they think, see guys, she really gets us. Chloe cares about men and has sympathy for our issues. But does she really? No.
Damn, dude. Are you okay? I'm not trying to be rude, but damn, have you ever been loved in your life? Jesus.
No, she doesn't. She is actually in favor of some of the major issues that are harming men. The number one issue for men is family court. The issue is not some abusive chick that you dated 5 years ago. The actual problem is that feminists lobbied the government to create laws that highly encourage abusive relationships and encourage the enslavement of men.
Okay, sorry, I must be confused because just a minute ago I thought you said that if women wanted to be helpful to men in combating real men's issues, that we would, pick apart those videos of women and show men the specific manipulation tactics. When I said actually it's a bigger systematic problem, which you seem to be aware of, but I'm actually very intrigued to see where this is going because I think, again, you might be heavily confused.
One of those laws is child support. Guess what? Chloe believes in child support.
However, there are women that they're entitled to that. Absolutely. If you fuck up her life, fuck up her mental health, and leave her with a kid to look after, yes, you need to pay her child support.
What I find heavily ironic is the way that this guy is really good at cropping and taking clips of videos to make it kind of fit his narrative. Not that I think anybody who isn't a straight up incel could watch that clip and be like, yo, that's wrong. But the entirety of the clip that he is showing, I actually listed multiple different situations where child support should not be needed. And that was actually the only situation that I thought it should be needed. However, sir, I don't think that you're accounting, even though it's rare, 85% of men are the ones that are paying child support. However, there is like a whole other percentage there that is missing. And we can only presume that that is men being paid child support. So even though we don't see it as often, are you saying that men should not be entitled to child support if they're single fathers, if they're working hard, they need, to pay for daycare, stuff like that? Because that's actually very sexist. I also stated very clearly in that video that child support should not be over a third of your income because there are men that are being taken over half of their wages, and that is theft, that is robbery, that is not okay. However, I do think that there are situations like, are you aware that there are men who force women into having children, beat their ass, leave them a single mother, and leave them absolutely struggling? Because I was definitely one of those moms. I didn't go after child support because I didn't feel like it was safe to. However, I'm in 100% entitlement. So honestly, the fact that you think that no woman should ever be entitled to child support is just straight up incel beliefs.
Child support is theft. It's forcefully taking money from someone that the recipient did not earn. If Chloe was not a chameleon and actually supported men like she says she does, then she would be fully against child support.
Okay, so either because you chose to ignore my views on child support, or maybe you just only heard what you wanted to hear, here are the situations where I feel like child support is not needed. Situations where 50-50 custody, if he is already 50-50 supporting that child, there is absolutely no reason why the child support should be paid. Any situation of child alienation, if the mother is refusing to allow the father to see the child for no reason that has to do with safety risk, I don't think that child support should be paid. I don't think it's logical to not allow a man to see a kid and it not be for safety reasons, but allow him to pay money. Doesn't really make sense. I'm 100% against that. However, I think you are forgetting that there are abusive men out there. There are, men who have stayed and then till the kid was 5, cheated, fucked off, and left her with absolutely nothing. So I just think maybe you're not really fully grasping a lot of the situations. Also, you claim to be an MRA, so the fact that you obviously don't think that men need child support either is actually quite appalling, because that's something that actual men's rights advocates are pushing for.
If Chloe was not a chameleon and actually supported men like she says she does, then she would be fully against child support. Now, to add context to this clip, she is referring to women who were being abused and left with a kid. But as I was told when I was 5, 2 wrongs don't make a right. If he was abusive, then put him in jail and punish him for his crimes. But that does not justify you stealing from him for 18 years.
Sir, do you believe that men should not be held responsible the same way women should be? Because, the way you just explained it was a guy can knock up a girl, leave her with a kid, and then say, oops, bye. That's really not okay. And, as a men's rights advocate, as you claim to be, I think that you should, understand how men feel, with their kids anyways, having them being up and taken. And, is a lot of really uncomfortable feelings coming from the fact that you think that people should just be able to just knock up whoever they want and then leave and be like, peace, and she should just look after the kid. I think you are forgetting that we do still live in a society where women don't make as much as men. It is very difficult to do maternity leave, continue a career, be a single mother. I just think that you're very misogynistic, actually.
Nor does it justify the large number of cases where abuse does not occur. And also, if a woman wanted money, wouldn't she just claim that she was being abused, even if she wasn't? Kind of like a lot of women already do. As in, the child support system is extremely easy to abuse. However, Chloe doesn't just believe in child support in the case of abuse. She believes in child support in nonviolent cases too.
If the parents are not able to split the kids 50-50, maybe one of them's work schedule is different, so they want to do, a couple days a week with dad, blah, blah, blah. If that is the case, then yes, child support should be paid to the mother because the mother has them for more of the time. However, it should be strictly calculated, looked at very closely at exactly what is needed, exactly what is missing, and not a penny more. Not only that, but child support should not be allowed to exceed more than a third of his income.
A third of his income? That's a lot of money. And do you really think the government is going to strictly calculate everything?
I think what bothers me the most is that he intentionally failed to show his audience that the whole intention of that video that he's showing was literally to show what is messed up with the system. Sorry, sir, I don't really think you understand, but kids are expensive. It sounds like you just think that guys should just not be responsible, just not pay any child support. The fact, do you really think that the government is gonna, that's the problem. And that's the whole point of that video, is that if I had it my way, that's what I would change. And I do hope to change that someday. A third is a lot of money. Well, guess what? Like, kids cost a lot of money. So why you feel like going after individual women rather than the system that is fucking over men, I'm just not really sure. But you seem to have this blame it all on the women rather than realizing that this is a system problem, and fixing that problem would benefit men. Child support would benefit men. I think you're also forgetting that I think again, why you're a little bit misogynistic is because I think that you're completely not equating for the fact that the child support is for the kids. There are lots of women that do put that money towards the kids. So it's supposed to be about the kid. And yes, there are lots of women that abuse that, and that's why people like myself have a job. But to insinuate that every single penny of it is misused, that it's not needed, that women don't need it, is just incredibly sexist, actually.
The government screws things up constantly. Not to mention that the mom could just make up a bunch of BS expenses in order to get more money.
Sir, I don't really think that you understand how the government works, but to lie on a government form like that is actually fraud. So, they would need to see, first of all, proof of income. They would have to see what your rent is, things like that. They actually would go through things like your bank account, do things like that, credit checks, where they actually see your expenses, see what you're paying. That is how those systems actually work. But you obviously didn't know that, so that's okay.
And also, if you were saying that child support should be paid out to the parent with more custody, wouldn't that just encourage women to push for more time with their kids so they get more money in child support? Kind of like a lot of women already do.
See, dude, I think you and I can agree on the fact that the system is really twisted and really messed up. It's just you and I have two different approaches. I encourage people to look at the system and say, yo, we should be saying to them, please change this, rather than being bitter and hateful towards women, therefore possibly sabotaging it for women that do need it, that don't do wrong by the fathers of their kids. There are fathers that are happy to pay child support to provide for their kids. So, I'm just not really fully understanding where this perception of yours is coming from, but, we'll go with it.
Again, he is not willing to give you that money, which makes child support theft. How can you say you're here to help men when you're in support of one of the major things that hurts them? Chloe...
The family court system is definitely a big one on the list, but it's really sad that you identify the biggest issues as the ones that directly involve... I don't know, man. There's just a lot of misogyny on this page, but let's go.
Chloe also suggests that men should date single mothers. Here is a video of her explaining how to weed out a bad single mother, when really the advice should be don't date single mothers.
Oh my God.
Unless her husband died in a tragic accident, a single mother is telling you that she does not know how to maintain a stable relationship.
Okay, slow your freaking horses, Mr. Misogyny. So basically, a woman's value on whether or not she is to be, a spouse after she's become a mother is that value is based off of a man. So based off of whether her husband has died, because it must automatically be assumed that if she's a single mother, that she failed. Well, let me tell you something, buddy. I'm 23 years old. I became a single mother at 19 years old. I was not a single mother because I was just some shady, fucked up, sneaky bitch. I actually fell in love with a man that beat me almost to my death twice. The whole relationship was incredibly domestic. The night I left him, he almost killed me, and I left him, and a year later, he stalked me, beat my head open with a baton, and left me broad daylight to die. So I guess that people should look at me and go, you're a single mother, so you must automatically not know how to maintain a relationship. I find it really funny that you call yourself a men's rights advocate. Men have the stigma themselves that, if a relationship doesn't work, that it must automatically have been the men's fault. This just goes to show how much you hate women, how misogynistic you are. That if she's a single mother, it's because she didn't please the man enough. Okay.
And she should have to deal with the consequences of her actions. If that means less guys want her, then that's too bad. I'm sure this video from Chloe has nothing to do with her being a single mother and is not self-promotion at all.
Well, sir, you're going to be very disappointed to know that the actual only reason why I made that video is because it was highly requested. It wasn't a self-promotion at all. But again, I really appreciate you projecting to your audience that, again, a woman should feel shamed and unvalued if she was not able to please a man.
She is literally telling men to enter into a relationship where their chances of being with an abusive partner are far higher than if he got together with a woman who doesn't have kids. Plus, he has to deal with a father who could be an abuser himself.
Oh my God, dude, who hurt you? So first of all, the fact that you were able to label that there might be an abuser in the situation, low-key saying she might be a single mom because there's an abusive ex-boyfriend, but you're more concerned about having to deal with the abusive ex-boyfriend than the fact that she might be a single mother because of an abusive ex is just whack to me. You're assuming that all single mothers are single mothers because we're abusers. You are just so misogynistic. It hurts. I can't wait till this commentary is over. Oh my God.
This is not helpful to men. This is why being able to identify a chameleon is very important. Chloe may seem nice, but the things she recommends are awful. And I've said before, you can always tell who these people are way before anything serious happens if you know what to look for.
Sir, that whole sentence is basically just saying that men's biggest problem is women, that should be the biggest concern, that they, you guys should be able to see these red flags far beforehand. But, earlier you asked me to ask women to point out other women. So, I'm just confused because it seems like you don't really know what you want. Do you feel me?
You can literally read these people like a book with very little information. I am saying this stuff because I've gotten plenty of comments and messages of people saying that Chloe is their waifu and she is the perfect example of a good woman. Chloe has a whole laundry list of mental problems that she hasn't dealt with. She would be a horrible partner because people with severe mental issues don't have the self-awareness to realize they are doing something wrong.
Wow. So, first of all, I think it's amazing that you classify if people are good partners based off of the trauma they've been through. I think it's also funny that you're classifying those people, that say that they like me as they only want to date me. When in reality, what they're actually saying is that, they enjoy a woman who shares my views. They're not directly trying to date me. But again, that's just your way of devaluing me as a woman because you don't feel like I should have this voice as a woman, and it shows.
Saw that when she said it was bad for men to call themselves nice guys, but okay for her to call herself a good woman. More importantly, people with mental health issues do not know how to contain their behavior, so the more comfortable they are around you, the more they will flip out of control.
So I do love the assumption that I'm damaged goods, that I'm not self-aware, that people with mental health aren't self-aware, that they just automatically just burst out like these crazy people. Sir, you know, I don't mean to like burst your bubble, but you know, I'm not the only person in this world that has been through stuff. And I don't know where you have this like laundry list of all these mental stuff that I haven't dealt with. I didn't know that you knew if I was in therapy, whether I was doing DBT counseling. Like, I wasn't aware that you knew about my life. But anyways, you're painting a horrible message for mental health. And as a men's rights advocate, I think that you should understand that like men also struggle with mental health as well. So saying that about me, you must automatically assume the same thing about men, correct?
With that said, let's go over the red flags. Starting with the most obvious red flag, I'm sure a lot of you thought of this right away, which is the tattoos.
Again, judging women based off of appearance, devaluing them.
Now, I feel like I have to say this every single time, otherwise people will flip out, but I am not saying that everyone who ever gets a tattoo has mental health problems. If she gets a butterfly tattoo on her ankle, then she's probably fine.
So did you notice that the tattoo that he described he would be okay with is like very stereotypically dainty little butterfly for a woman? So because they don't have dainty little cute tattoos, that's the red flag. Gotcha.
But if she gets a full-on throat tattoo and has tattoos all over her body, then it is very likely that she has severe mental health issues.
That is incredibly regressive of you. Very, very judgmental, but go ahead.
Really tired of people just kind of looking and seeing like a pretty face, and it really bothered me. I was much more than a pretty face. I have a big brain. I'm very tough, very independent.
There you go. She said she didn't want people to see a pretty face, so she corrupted it with tattoos. Red flag number 2. She doesn't get along with her own gender. She is one of the guys.
Being an attractive female that did not relate to other females, and I just wanted to, you know, hang out with the guys, and like I found a lot of acceptance there.
This means that she has trouble connecting with her femininity, or she has trouble finding girls to be friends with who aren't abusers, so she hangs out with the boys who will accept her because they're just happy to have any female present.
So I'm not really sure if he stereotyped his own gender there or if he stereotyped me, thinking that I was stereotyping them. You know, saying that the guys, I was only around the guys because they would just be happy that a female was around, when actually, you know, that wasn't the case. I've always gotten along with females. They've just never really liked me. You know, there are people who aren't so much in touch with their femininity, and that's a-okay. I don't really think that that's necessarily a red flag, but let's continue.
Neither is a sign of good mental health. Red flag number 3. Chloe has an OnlyFans account. Well, it's Patreon, but you get the idea. For the low, low price of $70, you get to see what Chloe looks like naked. This is more encouragement of simp behavior.
Okay, so that is actually wildly untrue. For the low price of $69.99, you get the opportunity to actually talk with me every single day. I have a lot of patrons. I know a lot of them by first name. I know what they do for a living. A lot of them have wives, by the way. Anyways, it's definitely not like pay money and then butthole. That's not really what it is. I would definitely encourage him to look into it a little bit further, but okay.
Why would you pay $70 to see a few pictures of her when you could find free naked pictures of women all over the internet? Is her saying a few nice things about men really worth that? She makes over $11,000 a month from her simps by doing this. It really makes me believe that you are all for men's rights and healthy relationships when you are selling your body for money.
Yeah, guys, why pay for that when you can find naked women who industries are taking advantage of them for free? Oh my God. Okay, so full disclosure, my Patreon is not just you sign up, you get butthole pics. No, there's no buttholes and hardly any nudity. If you are my Patreon for 2 months, you do have that option. However, everything is watermarked. Like it's very strict and very stipulated. I have a lot of service members and veterans who, and might I add, lots of people don't want private content. I don't just send it out to everybody. It is very specific. However, I really don't appreciate having, the men that like serves for our country being called simps just because, they want to talk to me every day, get to know me, things like that. But, again, continue with the misogyny, please.
To a relationship. And wait, not only that, but she demands that every man send her a copy of their government ID, as in like a driver's license, before they get access to her photos. Are you guys stupid? You are begging for your identity to be stolen. If you watch her videos, she has openly admitted to criminal behavior and openly admitted to associating with criminals. She also states that she has put faith in many of the wrong people in the past. Who's to say that one of those people won't come by and steal your information?
Sir, honestly, I'm not really sure who hurt you, but, first of all, you don't know what sort of criminal activity I was involved with. It had nothing to do with fraud, ever. I am a single mother of a 3-year-old, so I'm definitely not, involving myself in criminal behavior. Again, I really wish you had just reached out to me and asked some of these questions personally so that you would avoid, kind of looking foolish publicly. However, the IDs actually don't stay in my possession. They actually go into a folder, which actually sits with my lawyer that is verifiable, and I do have receipts to prove so. So I do that so that my identity is protected because this men's rights movement is very important to me. I actually don't promote my Patreon very much because I didn't want misogynistic people like you to automatically try to devalue me or my message based off of what I do for a living. So, I completely understand because there are lots of people that share your views.
Who's to say that one of those people won't come by and steal your information? Do you really have such little value over your well-being that you would risk that just to see a stranger naked? Speaking of OnlyFans, women don't just go into sex work because they think it's fun or they need to pay for college. Women go into sex work because of trauma. When I see a situation like Chloe's, I immediately think sexual abuse victim, which she confirmed.
I never use what's happened to me, my trauma, my abuse, my sexual abuse,
So there's a few red flags for untreated trauma and bad behavior that you could find out very shortly after meeting someone like her.
Oh, so it's like that. Okay, dope. So since you are about equality, right? You're a men's rights advocate, you're about equality. So lots of guys are molested. There's lots of effects that come from that. So I assume that you would say the exact same thing to them, right? Ones that are maybe engaging in sexual activity a bit younger, maybe a bit more sexually active as adults. So you would tell women not to date them because they were sexually abused, or like, what is wrong with you?
Let's hear what she has to say.
My mother was abused, my sexual abuse,
So there's a few red flags for untreated trauma and bad behavior that you could find out very shortly after meeting someone like her. This is not someone you want to be in a relationship with. With that said, Chloe does go a little into her childhood in one of her videos. Let's hear what she has to say.
My mother was 18 when she got pregnant with me, 19 when she had me. She left me at the hospital and didn't tell anybody she was pregnant. The police showed up at my grandmother's door with a baby and was like, oh, and my grandma was like, oh, Valentina did it again, because I guess she hid my sister's pregnancy as well. My grandma took care of me for 2 weeks, and then my mom came back and took me and put me in the orphanage. The orphanages in those countries are not like the adoption processes here, where a family can just claim that child and be like, yep, no, I'll be the caregiver. If the mother doesn't consent, it doesn't happen. And so my mom needed to keep me a secret, understandably so. In Romania, you need a man to survive, so a father or a husband. And the man that she was seeking, who she's been married to for now 20 years, still doesn't know about my existence. And 2 months after I was born, she got pregnant with my younger sister, Madalena, and which she kept. By the age of 14, I had already been abandoned by 3 families, including my birth family.
I stayed with my first adoptive family until I was 9, in which I ran away and social services took me in immediately.
Based on how she's behaving, I imagine that she is still leaving a lot of stuff out, whether that's intentional or not. Children only run away when they are being pretty severely abused. I assure you that the story goes much deeper than what she revealed. I bring this stuff up to point out that behaviors all have an origin.
You know, most people wouldn't have the balls to go to somebody's story where they're opening up about the shit that they went through in their lives, the very things that brought them to the intelligent, caring, and beautiful person that they are today. Most people wouldn't have the balls to go there and completely pick it apart and try to use it as evidence of mental illness, of, outing the fact that I was severely abused as a kid. That is something that I left out for reasons to protect my family, actually. Thank you. Most people wouldn't be like, oh, this person's been through so much, better run away from them. Like, those people are actually very, very toxic. And I feel like your idea of a perfect woman is like some sexist 40s, 50s, 60s shit, to be honest. I think that you're really misogynistic. And, I'm trying really hard not to be offended at the fact that you would think that it would be okay to do that to another human being. I'm trying, I mean, it is what it is, but I can't wait for this to be over. So let's just continue.
Determining the origin of your pathological behaviors can be very helpful because it will help you figure out what to work on when you go to therapy. So in this case, Chloe has abandonment issues, which means, in terms of bad behavior, that she might be needy. She might have poor boundaries with other people. She might do things that are immoral to fit in with her friend group. These are all areas that I would look if I had her problems. And there is a consequence to not looking into that stuff, which is that if you don't, you will become an abuser.
Well, damn, man, you should just go into psychology. You've just got it all figured out. Unfortunately for you, I've been in therapy since I was 10 years old. Currently, still to this day, I pay for intensive DBT, which is dialect brain therapy. It's to cure BPD. You're right. Sometimes I can be needy, I guess. The other two things that you described are completely inaccurate. But I am fully aware of my neediness, I guess, which actually does come from my attachment issues. So good job. Not abandonment issues, attachment issues, which stem from abandonment issues. So very, very close. But I am very self-aware of those. They actually don't reflect my relationship at all. Sometimes it can make me feel a little bit shitty on myself, but I'm actually really self-aware and I don't project my trauma. But thank you for being so concerned about how I'm dealing with the intense things that I've been through, even though I know you don't give a shit.
Remember, none of Chloe's past history is her fault, and we do not blame kids for what their parents did to them. We do, however, take issue when those people go on to abuse other people because of what was done to them in the past. And Chloe is certainly an abuser of her 3-year-old daughter. Here's what I mean.
What? I wasn't aware that you were ever in a relationship with me. But let's go.
And Chloe is certainly an abuser of her 3-year-old daughter. Here's what I mean.
The people that I've tried to let into my life threw it back in my face, even though they seen that I was a good mom. They seen the connection my kid and I had. They seen how intelligent she is. If anybody could have spoken to what a good parent I was, it would have been them. All I can think to myself is if these people would just give me 5 minutes, they would just talk to me, they would see I'm not a bad mom.
Again, just like she has to proclaim herself as a good woman, she also has to proclaim herself as a good mom. Those are very dangerous words. When Chloe says, I'm a good mom, it says to me that she thinks she is perfectly fine and has no reason to look at herself critically and self-improve.
So you said Chloe does in fact abuse her 3-year-old daughter. And then you used that as evidence. I don't even need to explain it, justify it, because anybody that is not an incel, misogynistic, or completely brain dead would just laugh at you.
Statements like that keep you from looking at your behavior objectively. That's why you don't proclaim yourself as a good person or a good mom. If you actually are those things, people will see it and you won't have to say it. But you never say that about yourself, because as soon as you do, the inner critic that makes you a good person goes away. If Chloe just paid attention to herself for 5 seconds, she would see that she has done some horrible things to her daughter. The reason Chloe is a single mother is because she chose to have a child with a man who was so abusive that he almost killed her. Because of that, her daughter cannot have a relationship with her father. Chloe chose to have a kid in an extremely unstable environment, and the lack of a father is going to create all kinds of boundaries problems for her child when she grows up. Women's primary job is to help the emotional development in children, while men's primary job is to help create boundaries. You need both influences, or you will require years of therapy just to turn out normal.
I'm sorry, what? What? I'm a single mother because I chose to have... First of all, sir, I might get judged for saying this because you're not really supposed to say this as a parent. I was 19 years old when I became pregnant. I did not want to be a mother. I wasn't ready. As an MRA, even before I was publicly an MRA, I believed in giving men a choice. If a man wants a child and a woman does not, if I have the ability to provide for that child, I don't really think it's fair to say, no, fuck you, I'm going to get an abortion. Not even that I was really given that much of an option, because when I found out I was pregnant, he hugged me and he said to me, and I quote, because I said, what are we going to do? And he said, and I quote, what do you mean, what are we going to do? If you kill my child, you're a disgusting human being.
Her daughter now has to go through that. Not to mention that if Chloe doesn't realize that she chose to have a child with an abuser, she will bring other abusers around her kid, as well as sabotage relationships with healthy people. If she is with a nice guy right now and doesn't learn how to contain her behavior, then she will find ways to destroy that relationship. Second, Chloe is a sex worker, so when her daughter goes to school, everyone is going to know what her mom looks like naked, and she will be bullied for it.
Sir, you are making some wild assumptions. That whole video has just been insane assumptions that you have no solid evidence for. Like, I just don't understand. In theory, what you're saying could be true. If I was completely unaware, you don't have a place to be saying these things, and to be taking that and using this as some sort of evidence as like, don't trust Chloe. First of all, a woman is not to be blamed for being in an abusive relationship. First of all, I would just like to state that full hand. A child can have a happy life without a father in the picture, because yeah, there are abusive men that can't be around their kids. It's about creating positive male role models. The man I am with right now is very kind. He is very good. Thank you. I don't project anything against him, but thank you for being so concerned for his well-being. I also think that you must be incredibly twisted as to what I do for a living. I'm not even going to get into that or try to justify that, because it doesn't even make any sense.
She will be made responsible for something that her mother did. I don't know if any recent photos of her have been leaked, but I can tell you that it was extremely easy for me to find old photos of her that were leaked.
Well, luckily for you, those photos that were leaked by an ex-boyfriend who I take responsibility for my actions. But anyways, they were leaked by an ex-boyfriend. So even if they were leaked for any other reason, the fact that you would have a problem with it is it just shows how much you dislike women.
Kids are going to be able to find that stuff, so imagine how her bullies are going to use that to abuse her. Last, but certainly not least, after going on and on about how awful it was for her mother to abandon her, Chloe is actively trying to abandon her daughter in a much worse way. She has been hospitalized at least twice in the past 2 years or so for attempted suicide, and in her most recent attempt, which was just a few weeks ago, she came very close to dying. Chloe is in major denial of how serious this illness is. This is a life-threatening disease, and here is how she describes the aftermath of the first suicide attempt.
Yeah, so once again, I find this funny as a men's rights advocate that this is what you're trying to use as evidence, considering that males take up the highest suicide rate. A lot of them are fathers. So, I mean, trying to use this as like some sort of malicious way is honestly just kind of appalling. Anyways, you know, I'm really tired of watching you stigmatize mental health. I'm not going to play that clip. If you guys want to find it, please go watch the video yourself. But I think that there's this big assumption that, you know, people that suffer from suicidal ideation, things like that, we must just like not love our kids. But the thing is that mental health is very serious and it should be taken seriously and it should be helped. And I don't think that people's past should be used against them as a weapon. I don't think that it should be assumed that I'm not getting help. I think that if anything, it speaks to the fact that maybe our systems that are supposed to be helping maybe aren't doing a good job. But hey, continue to blame.
And now I get to do what I love the most. And I get to do it in a healthy mind state.
You were suicidal and now you're in a healthy mind state? Chloe, it takes far more than a year to heal the kind of problems that you have. Try more like a decade. That's if you're doing things properly. We don't even know what she did during that year that she said she was healing. It didn't work because a few months later, after this was filmed, she tried to kill herself again. And guess what? She is still in denial of how serious of a problem this is.
I'm here 2 weeks later dealing with traumatic brain injury, a crap ton of amnesia, and very possible brain damage. And I think the saddest thing is that I still couldn't tell you why I did it. I woke up after that week with this amazing appreciation for my life, the movement that I've built for myself, the hard work that I've put in, my daughter, the people around me. I'm so lucky to be here.
See, guys, she's all better now. Yeah, except that's what she said last time. Chloe, are you actually taking steps to make sure this doesn't happen again so your kid doesn't grow up as an orphan like you did?
Well, Dr. Phil, since you are just so rehearsed, are you going to give me some resources? Considering you apparently know so much about me. Man, I would actually really like to challenge you to a debate sometime. I'm just appalled at your views sometimes. Everything has been about victim blaming, blaming mental health, just not really taking the time to understand what somebody is saying. I just really feel bad for you.
Or God forbid her abusive father gets custody of her? Do you want your daughter to have to live with the guy who almost killed you? Do you actually care about this stuff? Right now, keeping yourself alive for the sake of your daughter should be your full-time job. If you don't take care of this, you will succeed at ending your life. You almost did succeed. That being said, with regards to her channel, Chloe should not be giving any life advice or any mental health advice. If you take her advice, you could end up miserable like her. She clearly does not have the experience.
That's right, folks. Who better to listen to about mental health? Who better to relate to than someone that's been through it when you could just pay a crap ton of money to go talk to somebody who's never been through anything and is probably judging you? Yeah. Dude, what is your problem? Who hurt you? Listen, just because you haven't had the nerve to air out your dirty laundry and say to people, this is who I am, just because you haven't had the nerve to do that doesn't mean that you get to just pick that apart and use that as some sort of evidence. Unless I'm mistaken, you haven't even shown your face. So I highly doubt that you have lived a squeaky clean life, that you haven't had shit happen to you. Not that I would ever take things that have happened to you and put them in a YouTube video and use them as a way to be like, yo, don't follow him. I would never do that to another human being. But, you know, I would love to hear about your life and even just like see your face.
She clearly does not have the experience. Most of the mental health advice I've seen her give is either self-destructive or the ones that aren't are, well, in the words of Brittany Venti, kindergarten teacher advice.
Everything about us is unique, and you have something to add to this world. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
It's okay, guys. You're all unique. Feel better. There, I solved all of your mental health problems. That is not the advice of someone who has done any significant work on herself, nor is it useful to the people who need it.
Well, damn, bro, that would be a hell of a lot more supportive than sitting here for the last how long listening to you. Damn. Like, that's how you're supposed to support people. I love that you just completely negated what that entire video was about, which really was like hard facts and really was supporting people. But okay.
If you could just tell people who are depressed to feel better, there would be no depressed people. The reality is that if you have mental health issues, especially if they are severe, it means there are a large number of things that are going wrong in your life. Those mental health issues will persist until you fix those problems, or at least fix a significant portion of them. The reason it's difficult is because no one can do it for you. You have to figure it out with your own efforts. That's actually the real struggle of being a therapist. As a therapist, you have to trick people into solving their own problems, and it takes years to do that.
Guys, if there was anybody in this world, even above Dr. Phil, that I would tell you to never take mental health advice, not even from me, don't take it from me. Definitely do not take it from this guy, because his answer will be, it's your fault, unless you're a man. But even then, it's probably still your fault. Okay, so I'm actually gonna end it there because I genuinely do not want to listen to any more of this guy's voice. I actually thought that this video was gonna have some sort of like constructive criticism, not be full of like blaming women, completely picking apart the fact that somebody was sexually assaulted, abandoned as a child, blaming them for their domestic violence. Like, it just completely blew my mind. Ladies and gentlemen, if you follow this guy, if you think that this is like the guy to follow, even if you don't want to follow me, I'm not saying, oh, come follow me. I don't give a fuck who you follow, okay? I am greatly concerned for anybody who follows this guy. And, you know, it's very hard to define like incel behavior. Someone must be like, well, what's an incel? It's kind of hard to be like, oh, go here. But from here on forward, whenever anyone asks me what an incel is, I'm just going to direct them to this YouTube page. So it'll help him grow for sure. He can have his group of incels. However, you know, if you carry this man's beliefs, you need to be aware that you are misogynistic. You are very blaming. I'm completely lost as to why I just wasted so much time doing this. But anyways, sir, if I have any piece of advice to you, it would be to listen more, pull out that internalized misogyny. Please do better. You owe it to your following to be responsible, to, you know, project a responsible message. And what you're doing is just absolutely appalling. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. Damn. Let's go run up those dislikes, can't we? Like, damn.